Get that started.
And again, I want to thank you guys for being here. And if you want to introduce yourselves maybe before we start, I know we have multiple representatives.
Absolutely. So I'm Abigail Demler, and I've worked at the Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy for about 1.5 years now. I have 2 roles. I work as a health insurance navigator, and I also work on our medical legal partnership, which we'll talk about later on. Becca, want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Becca Friedman. I'm an attorney at Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy in the Family Support and Healthcare Unit, and I'm also an Equal Justice Works Fellow, so sponsored by a local firm in Charlotte called Kilpatrick, and I do a range of Medicaid and food stamps and public benefits work.
And I'm Julianne Taylor. I'm also an attorney in the Family Support and Healthcare Unit. I've been with CCLA for almost 7 years. I used to work in the Navigator Project, and now I am working with managed care in our transformation work. So I am going to go ahead and get us started. So thank you all so much for being here this morning and joining us. We're really excited to talk about our organization and all of the work that we do. We have done a lot of presentations with the Charlotte Mecklenburg libraries in the past, and you guys have been an amazing partner. We've actually had navigators, as some of you know, stationed at some of the branches, and it's just been a great partnership. So we're really glad to be here and to talk about our work. Next slide, please. So as most of you may or may not know, our mission is to pursue justice for those in need. So we're a nonprofit law firm providing free civil legal assistance. So we have been doing this in the community for a very long time. And we were formerly Legal Services of Southern Piedmont. So some of you that have been in Charlotte for a while may be more familiar with that name. And we also work very closely with Legal Aid, but we are different than Legal Aid. We do similar services in the fact that we do primarily civil assistance, but our funding is different. So we have a little more flexibility. We're able to do a little more advocacy and focus on systemic issues, which is something that our unit specifically works on. Next slide, please. So the most important thing I would say, kind of coming out of this slide, is serving more than 3,500 families a year. We're a relatively small firm, so the fact that we're able to reach these many individuals is pretty great. And really our goal is to provide safety, shelter, and stability for these individuals. Next slide, please. So our service areas, and we'll get into each of these in a little more detail, include consumer protection, immigrant justice, legal services for the elderly, the taxpayer clinic, family support and healthcare, which is the unit that Becca, Abigail, and I work in, the veterans, and the Veterans Legal Project. Next slide, please. Generally, clients qualify for our services if they have income at or below 200% of the federal poverty line. The Navigator Project is an exception to that. There is no income limit for that, just because that is so complicated. And luckily, in writing the Affordable Care Act, they wanted to make sure that everybody was able to access those services. And we, to this day, still help people no matter what their income is. Sometimes we'll have individuals that come in that, you know, are self-employed, but they do very well, maybe income over 400% of the federal poverty line. And they come in and they say, I have no idea how to manage this healthcare system. Please help me, because this is just ridiculous. I know that Abigail can definitely attest to that. And then another exception to the 200% FPL is that the tax clinic assists people up to 250% of the FPL. And there are no citizen or immigration requirements to access our services. Next. So we do not accept criminal or traffic cases, most family law matters, including divorce and child custody, personal injury, employment law, or workers' comp. Oftentimes we do get calls about criminal and traffic cases and family law matters, but those are not issues that we our resources are just too small for that. So we do not help with those issues. But if someone contacts us about those issues, generally we're able to refer them to a service that can assist. Next slide, please. So in consumer protection, they do help with a variety of issues. This is one of our bigger service areas. So they assist with unfair and deceptive trade practices. Student loan issues is a really big section of this, this particular unit. Foreclosure defense, they also help with home financing and mortgage service disputes. Oftentimes when we have a client who has one issue, they generally have other issues as well. And so it's really nice to be able to kind of have them get all the services that they need at our organization. And I would say a lot of times whenever they have one of our issues, you know, they're likely dealing with these other issues, especially when it comes to home preservation and things of that nature. They also assist with predatory lending practices, automobile finance and fraud, which is something that we see a lot of as well, and unfair debt collection practices. So in the last few years, some of the new areas that we're covering are driver's license restoration, criminal record expunctions, and unemployment benefits. So unemployment benefits actually came out of the pandemic. As most of you probably know, there were a lot of issues at the very beginning with the unemployment benefits, people not being able to get through, you know, they just did not have the capacity to handle all of that. And so our agency was able to sort of become a resource for those individuals to help them through that process. So that's been a really great program that we've continued, we've continued, and we hope to even after the pandemic. Next slide, please. So the Immigrant Justice Program is also a very large unit. I feel like since I've started at Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, each of our little tiny units has kind of just exploded with the need in the community, which is always a great thing. You know, we're happy to, as long as there's a need and we're able to expand and get funding to provide those services, we're always happy to do that. So they assist individuals with various statuses. They can help individuals with U visas, T visas, SIJS, asylum, VAWA. Next slide, please. And they even get 2 slides because they have so many service areas. But also adjustment of status, DACA, cancellation of removal, TPS, domestic violence and housing. The domestic violence and housing work is more recent, whereas the other areas they've been covering those types of cases for years. So with domestic violence, that's a partnership with Safe Alliance, and generally they refer individuals from Safe Alliance who are dealing with domestic violence issues to the Immigrant Justice Program if they have a particular status and or they're Spanish speakers. So that's really helpful. And that's available to residents in Cabarrus, Mecklenburg, and Union counties. And then also housing, which has actually been a very successful area of this unit. They recently got funding in the last few years to do some housing work. And they have been in court a lot around housing issues, really big housing issues. And they've actually been working with our consumer unit to do some of these housing cases because the consumer unit has so much background on housing. So they represent tenants in summary ejectment actions and file affirmative cases against property managers. There's a typo, that's my fault, sorry. Against property owners to enforce a tenant's right to safety and habitability. And then tenants must be a resident of Mecklenburg County to access those services. Next slide, please. Legal services for the elderly. So oftentimes we get calls, especially in the family support and healthcare unit, where there is an elderly individual who needs a will or needs assistance with power of attorney. or, you know, maybe they are, they're having issues with family members. There could be like fraud and abuse, those type of things. So the issues that we help individuals with are doing those simple wills, the powers of attorney, and the healthcare powers of attorney. And this is available to residents of Mecklenburg County who are 60 or older. And again, you know, these services are free. So it's a great opportunity for individuals who are over 60 and, you know, don't have a will and are interested in that, you know, to be able to create that will, but also just be able to sit down with someone to ask questions about, you know, what does this mean and how does this affect, you know, and how do I deal with this particular issue? And so it's a great service that we're happy to be able to offer. Next slide, please. So we also have the HIV and AIDS Project. This is a project that we had a few years ago, and then the funding was not renewed, but then recently there has been a big effort by the state really as a whole to make sure that individuals living with HIV and AIDS have access to all the services that they need. We saw that during the last open enrollment period, where much of the HIV and AIDS caseworkers were referring people to us so we can make sure to get them enrolled in a plan, that they didn't have to pay for the premiums, that the HMAP program was paying for healthcare premiums, and which otherwise these individuals would likely not be able to afford, and being able to access the care that they need and have insurance and feel like, you know, that they are just like everybody else and they can access those same services, and also being able to access their very expensive medication. So that's been really great. So this is another project that's sort of come out of that recent push to assist these individuals. And we provide the legal services to these individuals regarding estate planning, and then also assistance with breach of confidentiality regarding their diagnosis. And no limit to Mecklenburg County. So anybody can call about this. Next slide, please. And then there's the tax clinic. So the tax clinic also covers a plethora of issues. Another unit that we work very closely with in family support and healthcare, whenever we have somebody who in the past, whenever there was a penalty for not having insurance, and maybe they owe some money to the IRS for some APT or some tax credits that they received through the marketplace, we're able to refer them to the tax clinic so they can get some assistance, possibly entering an offer and compromise with the IRS so they can reduce the amount or forgive the amount that they owe. They not only do that, but they help with appeals and liens and levies, tax court litigation, identity theft, cancellation of debt, employment classification. So, you know, any individuals that you speak with that are below 250% of the federal poverty line and are having issues with the IRS, it's worth giving the tax clinic a call to see if it's something that they can assist you with. And if they can't, they can refer you out to other services that can assist. But with this pretty long list of issues, they're able to help a lot of people. Next slide, please. And so I will turn it over to my colleagues, Becca and Abigail, to talk about in great detail our unit and all the work that we are doing in the community.
Thank you. We're all members of the Family Support and Healthcare Unit and figured we'd use that as an opportunity to really focus on the services that our unit offers. So we'll talk about the various projects within our unit, as well as some of the public benefits programs that we work on, and changes that are coming to those benefits programs, either changes that have occurred because of coronavirus or changes that are coming in the future. So we at the Family Support and Healthcare Unit do casework in a lot of different areas, mostly focused on access to healthcare and public benefits. So some of the public benefits programs we work with include Social Security and SSI, food stamps, Work First, Medicaid, Medicare, and the NC Health Choice Program, or the CHIP program in North Carolina. We also help people access health insurance coverage through the health insurance marketplace, which a lot of people know is Obamacare. We also focus on access to care for veterans and access to veterans benefits. We also help with other issues that are related to these programs, so nursing home and rest home discharges, access to home health care, and then public benefits overpayments as well. So most issues related to these benefits and access to care we work on in some capacity. We help with eligibility appeals and service appeals for these programs. So if someone applies and is denied, we can help them appeal if they disagree with a decision. For example, if they believe they're disabled and they're denied a program associated with their disability, we can help them appeal. We also can provide service appeals. So if someone needs a particular service covered by Medicaid or by their insurance, we can help be an advocate for them in that way as well. We also engage in systemic advocacy work, class actions, legislative work, because we know that so many of these programs are affected by the state and federal legislature. And so we try to advocate so that these programs serve the clients in the best way possible. We also provide administrative advocacy to make sure that the systems and the enrollment process is going as smoothly as possible for our clients and also for other clients who aren't in contact with us, but are still trying to navigate through these processes. The Health Insurance Navigator Project is a member of the North Carolina Navigator Consortium. So we partner with the consortium and help consumers enroll in health insurance under the Affordable Care Act. We also help them sign up for Medicaid and CHIP. So navigators advise people about what their eligibility is for these programs, whether they should apply for Medicaid or Affordable Care Act or Medicare, to sort of figure out where people go. And then we provide application assistance as well. Formerly, before the coronavirus, we would hold these appointments out in community sites, to include a couple of sites at the library. I was at the Independence Library branch for a while. And so now we're not offering assistance in person, but we are providing services over the phone, and people can make an appointment to meet with a navigator that way. The reason why we encourage people to meet with a navigator is even though you can read about the eligibility rules broadly, a lot of people's eligibility depends on certain factors of their situation. So specifically their income, their household size, their conditions that they're dealing with, whether they're disabled or how old they are, could cause the program they're eligible to change or their circumstance to look different than others around them. And so we try to meet with them to help them understand their options and to pick a health plan that meets their particular needs. Open enrollment for the health insurance marketplace normally occurs in November and December of the year prior to coverage. So normally it's November 1st to December 15. But this year, due to the coronavirus, the Biden administration has reopened a special enrollment period that goes from now until May 15th, which means individuals who normally are not able to qualify based on the timing of their application, they would have to wait till open enrollment, are eligible to sign up for a plan right now. So that applies to people who have had a change in coverage since open enrollment. Maybe they've lost a job and lost their health insurance to go with that, or someone who just wasn't aware that they were eligible can now use this as an opportunity to sign up and have health insurance during a time when it's so important. If people would like to make a Navigator appointment, they can go online to ncnavigator.net or they can call this phone number. Navigator services are available throughout the state of North Carolina, and so individuals can use those two numbers to make an appointment with a navigator near them. We serve primarily the Mecklenburg, Union, and Cabarrus County area, and they can be connected to make an appointment with our office through there as well. And we have these flyers advertising the special enrollment period. And so if anyone on the call is interested in getting copies of these flyers, we're happy to print them and deliver them or send them to you electronically so they can be distributed around within your organization or to the clientele you serve. Another area that I work in is with our medical legal partnerships. Medical legal partnerships work to collaborate and connect patients with legal service providers who can represent and assist them in navigating civil legal issues. Social determinants of health are things that affect your health but aren't directly connected to your medical conditions or your access to care. Your living conditions or your ability to access certain programs can have a negative impact on your health. And so our team works with healthcare providers to identify and prioritize health harming problems that can be solved by legal action. That includes things like poor housing or wrongful denial of public benefits. And we represent folks where appropriate and where we are able to help. Our Carolinas Medical Legal Partnership is a joint MLP with attorneys from Charlotte Center of Legal Advocacy, as well as Legal Aid of North Carolina, and Atrium Health is a partner who makes most of those referrals. So that allows a social worker to recognize a need that a patient has, access to food. So maybe they need help applying for food stamps or a poor housing condition, things like that. And they'll make a referral directly to legal aid or to our office so that we can connect them smoothly, and the patient, it puts less of a burden on the patient who's going through whatever this trying circumstance is. We also have medical legal partnerships with CareRing and the Charlotte Community Health Clinic. And we work in the same way. We focus those projects mostly on public benefits, but making sure that patients' issues are resolved. And all three of these organizations also make a lot of referrals to the Navigator Project as well. So there's so much overlap in the services family support and healthcare provides that a lot of the programs are interconnected. And the last project I'll talk about is our Veterans Legal Services Project. It focuses on all issues related to veterans. They help with service-connected disability claims and appeals, as well as VA pension claims and appeals. They also help people access care through the VA, determine if they're eligible to do so. And they also help with benefits and education overpayments associated as well, and can perform discharge upgrades and military records corrections. They're also just a great resource in general for veterans. I know there are a lot of veteran-specific benefits and programs available in the community, and they're a good resource for referring to other relevant services as well. And with that, I'll transfer it over to Becca to talk more about the programs that we work with.
Thanks. So I'm going to talk about a few programs that we work with and some of the changes that have been put into place in response to COVID-19 and just some things we're seeing a lot of clients experience. So food and nutrition services, or food stamps, or FNS, that's a program a lot of our clients receive and interact with, and there have been a lot of waivers or exceptions put into place due to COVID-19. So this isn't comprehensive, but it lists a fair number. So for example, month by month, North Carolina has been awarding a supplement to all household monthly allotments to any family that receives below the household maximum for their family size. So households are receiving their normal allotment on their typical day that they receive food stamps, and then later in the month they'll receive a supplement up to that household maximum. And this is just announced on a month-by-month basis, but they have announced that they're doing it for March. They also did announce there's a 15% increase in the maximum allotment for all household sizes. That goes from January to June. So for any month that families receive food stamps, there will be an increase in the allotment. And this is especially exciting for as long as they are awarding that emergency allotment or the supplement, because that means that all households will receive not only the household maximum, but the 15% higher household maximum. They've also waived certain in-person requirements. So, and not only in-person requirements, but just some requirements in general. So for example, they waived some interview requirements under many circumstances for both initial applications and recertifications. They are allowing signatures by phone, so individuals don't have to either get to a printer and send their information in or go into DSS to sign their applications. Certain work requirements have also been waived, and they're not collecting overpayments right now. So if individuals were awarded benefits that they shouldn't have been for any reason, they're not collecting those for now. Next slide. So Pandemic EBT or PEBT is a program we work a lot with, and a lot of our clients are experiencing. This was a new program that was put into place in response to the pandemic, and this provides benefits to families whose school-age children are eligible for free or reduced price meals, but they weren't receiving them due to schools either being closed or operating at reduced capacity for a certain number of days. There is no application in North Carolina to receive PEBT, so you can qualify to be eligible for PEBT for based on various categories. So for example, if you do receive food stamps, your child automatic, as long as the school is participating in the National School Lunch Program and they were remote or at reduced capacity for a certain number of days, children can be eligible. If your family receives food stamps, if you attend a CEP school where all children are eligible for free or reduced price meals, and children in foster care, or if you've applied for free or reduced price meals and have been approved. And there are a couple other routes I didn't mention, but yeah, there's no application. If for families that do receive food stamps, the PEBT benefits will likely be deposited right on their food stamps card. For families that don't receive food stamps, they will likely get a letter and card in the mail. That's just a separate PEBT card. Now, they did have this program in the spring of the 2019-2020 school year. So if families did receive a new card for that school year, the benefits will likely be deposited on that card. Now, I'm guessing a lot of families may have thrown that card out, just assuming it was a one-time benefit. So if individuals don't have their card or it was damaged, there's a number there that they can call to get a new card sent to them. And for families that didn't receive these benefits in the spring semester of 2020, and they are eligible now, they'll likely get a new card in the mail. And for now, this only applies to school-age children, so I think that's considered kindergarten up. But there is North Carolina is in the process of applying for a plan for childcare age students, but that has not been submitted or approved yet. So it'll probably be some time until we know details about that. And that will go back, I believe, only back to October, whereas school age children were eligible back to, they've been eligible since March. But more details to come on that, hopefully in the next few weeks for school age children. And next slide. So this just gives a little bit more, some more resources for food access in the area. So at the bottom there, you'll see there's a link to the FAQ and the Pandemic EBT webpage that DHHS has created. There's also a number there just to call with general questions. It's a little confusing because the number on the last slide and this number are both called the North Carolina EBT call center. The number on this page is more for sort of general information about the program, whereas the number on the previous slide is more for technical assistance, like to activate your card or if you've lost or damaged your card. And this is more sort of programmatic questions. There's also a number that you can text with Food NC for English or Comida for Spanish for information about where to find school meals. And then the 211 number just can provide information on various resources, including food in your area. Next slide. So this is also not everything that's been changed to Medicaid due to the pandemic, but a few waivers and things that are in place to make access to healthcare more equitable and easier during the pandemic. So states were offered an increase in federal funding, and as a condition, they are not able to cut people off of Medicaid during the pandemic, and that extends to the end of the quarter that the public health emergency is in place. So for now, no individuals can be cut from Medicaid. Also, the DSS must accept client attestation in applications for almost all eligibility criteria. The very few exceptions include citizenship and immigration status, but for the most part, they have to accept client statements when applying for Medicaid. And then I'm going to go into a few changes that are coming to the Medicaid system, but new applicants for Medicaid should still apply through their local DSS as they have been. Next slide. So you may be aware there are a lot of changes coming to the Medicaid program that are going into effect on July 1st. And this is the transition to managed care from fee-for-service. This was supposed to go into effect back in 2019, and then there were a lot of suspensions and delays, and now it's actually going into effect July 1st. So starting July 1st, new prepaid, they're called prepaid health plans or sort of private health plans, are going to begin managing the care for individuals with Medicaid. This means that individuals will have to generally see providers in their plan's network, and if prior authorization is needed, that will go through the plans rather than through state Medicaid program. So letters did begin going out to Medicaid beneficiaries this week, so early March. So individuals will likely receive letters in the mail telling them that they'll have to select a health plan. And there are 5 of these standard plans. There are 5 available in the Charlotte region, 4 are statewide, and 1 is in several regions, but that includes Mecklenburg County. And the types of services individuals with Medicaid should receive will not be changing, and their copays will not change, but there will be a lot of variations in terms of how they request services and what providers they can see. Slide. So this is just some tips we like to give for how to prepare for these changes that are coming. We know that a lot of people have experienced changes in their living situation or contact information, especially due to the pandemic. So if individuals have moved or changed phone numbers or contact information, we really recommend they make sure that their local DSS has that updated information, because they'll be getting information in the mail about with important information about timelines and contact information and plan selection and everything. So definitely keep that up to date. We also, because individuals will have to start seeing providers in their plan's network, we recommend asking if individuals want to keep their providers, they should ask their provider what health plans they've signed up with. And this goes for specialists as well. If individuals don't sign up with a health plan, so the open enrollment period runs from March 15th to May 14th. And that's very confusing because it ends a day before the ACA open enrollment period, but May 14th is the last day. If individuals don't select a health plan, they will be automatically assigned to a plan based on various criteria, and one of those is the primary care provider. But we understand that for many individuals, it's the specialists that are the most important for them to continue seeing. So if they want to continue seeing specialists, make sure to ask what plans they've signed up with. Also, just keep an eye out in the mail for these letters that are coming with this important information. There's a party called the enrollment broker, and individuals can call, and that's on all of the mail they'll receive, but the enrollment broker can provide information on plans that are available and just assistance in selecting the best plan for Medicaid beneficiaries, and then also help with the enrollment process once they've selected a plan. Individuals do have the right, so while most Medicaid beneficiaries will have to select one of these new plans, that'll go into effect July 1st. A lot of groups of people are exempt or excluded from this transformation. So individuals with severe intellectual or developmental disabilities or mental health conditions. So for example, if individuals receive care and services through Cardinal or one of the local management entities in North Carolina, they can request to stay in this current Medicaid system, which is now known as NC Medicaid Direct. So if you were told that you have to enroll in a plan and you disagree because of services you need, you do have the right to request to stay in the current Medicaid system, and you do have the right to appeal that if it is denied. Also, a big change that will take place is, while now individuals who need non-emergency medical transportation or NEMT, they request transportation to their doctor's appointments and providers, They currently go through the Department of Social Services. This will transition to the plan's responsibility starting July 1st. And individuals can start requesting transportation for appointments on June 1st. So if you have an appointment July 1st, you can start calling June 1st, or if you have an appointment July 1st, you can start calling June 1st to request that transportation. And I can add a couple numbers and links to that before we circulate this. Slide. Okay, so there will be a party called the North Carolina Medicaid Ombudsman. This is it's a coalition of nonprofit organizations that are working to provide ombudsman services for Medicaid beneficiaries, and these services will begin on April 15th. They provide services including information and education to beneficiaries to help them understand their rights and answer questions. They'll be available by phone, website, email, by mail, and then in person. I think that's COVID contingent. So they also provide referrals to support beneficiaries' access to care. So they'll work with other state agencies, departments, community-based advocacy organizations, and legal service organizations to refer for other needs. They'll also provide issue resolution and management with Medicaid managed care delivery system related issues. And they'll also be conducting trend monitoring to help identify broader systemic issues in the new managed care system. So starting April 15th, you can contact them at the number and website listed there. Next slide. So I won't read this, but we do have these flyers available just for various other programs. This is CCLA-wide that we assist with just in response to the pandemic. We understand so many people have unfortunately lost their jobs and been affected, either their work or housing or income situation has been affected by the pandemic. So as we mentioned earlier, the unemployment benefits program really grew out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we offer a lot of services to individuals who are having issues with their unemployment benefits. We also offer, the stimulus payments are so confusing in terms of who gets them, what its impact is on your taxes and everything. So we offer assistance with the stimulus payments as well. And then we also offer assistance and services related to evictions and foreclosures, utility cutoffs, and student loans, as we mentioned before, and also healthcare coverage and food assistance, as we mentioned. So there's a lot more detail there, and there's a link at the bottom to find out more about our COVID-19 related services. Slide. And then, as Jules listed at the beginning, there are certain areas that we don't assist with, unfortunately, but we do do our best to refer individuals to services for all of their needs that they ask us about, but just so it's available to all of you as well. These are some organizations in the area that we do often refer clients to. So for issues related to domestic violence, criminal record expunctions, victims assistance, family immigration and naturalization, lots of family law and education issues, and much more. So there are a lot of links and phone numbers there. They're hopefully a good reference. Next slide. And then we covered a lot. So there's our contact information is listed there, our emails and phone numbers, and we are very happy to take questions anytime. We love the work that we do and want to assist clients to the best of our capacity. And it's great working with community organizations like the library who can help get clients to us who are in need of legal assistance. So really contact us anytime and we'd love to help. And then I think the next slide is just some CCLA contact information and social media and everything. So I think that is all we have. So if you have any questions now, we're happy to answer, or really any time after.
Yeah, and feel free to post questions in chat as well. Wow, this is just like an overwhelming amount of services that you guys provide. And if I had to take a guess, I would assume that you guys were staffed by at least 200 people. So it's pretty incredible.
We're growing. We're getting not quite 200, but
But yeah, I guess I'll ask just a question that I ask most of our guests from the past year. And I'm sure this is a loaded question, but what's the past year been like for you guys in terms of pivoting under COVID-19 restrictions? It seems like everything that you do has changed in some regard. Can you talk a little bit about what that's been like?
Yeah, I can start, and then I'm sure Jules and Abigail can add as much, because everyone's had a different experience and seen it affect our clients and our work in different ways. But I mean, it's definitely been a challenge. I think there just are constant changes to all of the programs we work with. Different programs are changing at different paces and sort of are tied to different requirements. So it's a lot sort of policy-wise to keep track of, while also trying to keep our clients informed. And then there are new programs. So like, for example, the PEBT program I work a fair amount with, that's just constantly changing. So just trying to manage, keeping on top of that, while also helping our clients access these benefits has been a lot. There are also a lot of changes sort of procedurally in terms of the community organizations that we interact with. So for example, DSS, we used to do everything in person, and we were there pretty frequently. All of our hearings were at DSS when we would help clients appeal denials or other service-related appeals, and that's all by phone. So, and it's definitely hard not to be able to meet with the clients in person as much. I think that there's so much that we get out of sort of the face-to-face interaction, and also just working with each other in person. For the most, I mean, we do have certain in-person requirements, and we do, some of us meet with clients occasionally or in various circumstances, but it's definitely been hard not to see the people that we work to advocate for and support. So those are sort of my main takeaways, but excited to get back.
Yeah, and I would assume the people, a lot of people who qualify for your services are also part of a demographic that might have a struggle with new technology.
Yeah.
So, you know, a further complication.
Yeah, so that's definitely added to it, and making sure that we can still contact individuals there. Like we mentioned, so many people have been changing addresses or other contact information, and especially the demographics that we do work with. So that's just added to the stress, and really the importance of making, I mean, it's helped us also realize how much there is a need to advocate for equitable policies in response to COVID. So it's definitely helpful to see at the ground level how the pandemic has had an inequitable distribution and impact across populations.
So I have a question for some of your services, like the veterans services. Does the 200% below poverty level, does that apply to those services? When we're talking about, I think that was with the was that taxes? That might have been.
So the Veterans Project is another one of those unique situations where, so 200% or 250, those are not depending on the funding. So if we get a grant that is specific, saying you'll only assist people under this certain amount, then we have to stick with that.
Okay.
For the most part, we do 200%, but I know that with the Veterans Project, there have been situations where they have been able to assist someone even if their income is higher. So I wouldn't hesitate to refer somebody to that project, because there may be an opportunity for them to assist them, although they're maybe higher income. And also, you know, sometimes with the veterans, if they're getting all of their benefits, they would be well over 200% FPL, but then we're assisting them with, you know, accessing care or whatever that might be. So there is a little bit of leeway with some of the units and projects. So that's a great question.
Okay. I guess because I'm thinking of people maybe that had a general discharge and don't realize that there's, you know, the ability to appeal. So at least they could walk in and even get advice how to move into another direction.
Yeah.
And then my other question, with your COVID response services, like with unemployment, I have been hearing a lot of teenagers have been receiving unemployment, because they were furloughed from their part-time jobs. So then they have to deal with that. So would you, would that demographic be somebody that you guys would see? And this is, I work for the library, so I'm also thinking, with our teen department.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I think as far as signing, rep agreements and things like that, we would probably need a parent or a guardian to do that. I think that would be helpful, especially if they're under 18. But yeah, I mean, we assist families with children that have Medicaid appeals, and so we assist children with lots of issues. But obviously, a guardian or a parent would be
okay.
We would want them there.
Yeah, because I know some of these kids, got a nice chunk sum, and then I don't think they realize, that they have to file taxes on it and things like that. So, but okay, great. That's wonderful. That's a good resource.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Well, I just wanted to say, sort of on that note, I think if it's something maybe that we didn't particularly cover today, but it is a civil legal issue.
Oh, okay.
I always tell people that we would rather be inundated with phone calls than have somebody not contact us because they think maybe it's a service that we don't offer. It's not something that we can assist with. So I would always say, when in doubt, just call our main line and speak with our receptionist, or at least listen through our automated system and leave a voicemail. Someone's always going to call you back, even if it's a service that we can't assist with. And again, even if it isn't a service we can assist with, our staff is very good about then connecting you with a resource, not really leaving you high and dry.
Yeah.
Because we know that can happen, sometimes, especially with our consumer protection unit, they get a lot of calls about workers' comp. Well, we don't do that work, but we're not going to leave them high and dry on that. We'll connect them with resources in the community, or the EEOC, or wherever they need to go. We'll make sure that they get that information.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's extremely helpful for us to also know. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it's in the, I think it's in the slides, but I'm posting the unemployment insurance project for our office in the chat for the phone number there as well.
Thanks, Becca.
If someone had sent a question to me privately, but this person's basically asking, is there a waiting list to be seen? Is it best for a client to call? Do they leave a message and someone returns their call? How's that process?
Yeah, so generally our intake process is you either go through the automated system and you hear, the issue that you have, and that you get connected with that intake. Generally, you leave a voicemail and you'll get a call back within 48 hours, give or take, depending on how busy it is. And then, but if you don't hear on the recording the issue that you have or the unit that you want to speak with, you'll be able to speak with our receptionist, Cynthia, and she'll be able to guide you where you need to go. If it's something that we can assist with, or she even thinks that it's something we can assist with, she'll connect you with the intake where you need to be connected. So again, when in doubt, just give us a call. You'll get to talk to somebody. You'll either talk to somebody right then, or you'll get a call back.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I'm really surprised. As librarians, I haven't heard too much about the upcoming Medicaid changes with the Ombudsman. Are there going to be like public virtual forums where they address where they take on maybe like a crowd of 30 or 40 attendees and just try to explain everything? Are there events that are coming up, or?
Great question. Yes. So the Ombudsman is working on doing a lot of presentations and outreach. But then our organization separately, Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, we have additional funding to be able to provide Medicaid transformation education and outreach to the community. So it's more generally about the process of Medicaid transformation. And then obviously the Ombudsman contact information is included in case somebody in that audience has one of those particular issues, they can contact the Ombudsman directly for assistance. And I know that Becca's been a big part of the outreach with our Medicaid transformation outreach with our KBR funding. And so if you want to say anything else about that, we do have a presentation coming up on March 19th. And it's in conjunction with PISGA Legal Services, Disability Rights NC, the Kate B. Reynolds Trust, NHELP in Carrboro, and are there any other partners, Becca, that I'm missing? Oh, NC Child.
I think you named them all.
So that's a statewide webinar about what advocates need to know regarding managed care and this transition. And that's on the 19th. And we can share that information so you all can register for that if that's something that you're interested in attending.
Yeah, I just put the registration link in the chat, but we have flyers for that as well. So we can distribute that also to sign up for that webinar. But if anyone wants to right now, the link is in the chat.
And we are, on that note, Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy really does want to be a resource, locally for individuals to get answers to their Medicaid transformation questions, just general questions. And so we plan on doing a lot of outreach in the community just so that people know what's going on, but then they also know where to call when they have issues.
Yeah, I would love to have some of the flyers maybe sent digitally to us so that we can put them out through the branch, and even the referral slide that you guys showed with the other services. Yeah, it's just interesting to see who takes which questions, and that would be very handy for librarians. And also a copy of just the slideshow that you guys are doing today. Someone requested if that could be made available.
We can make the edit. I need to edit that one word for you.
I'm going to add a link or two, but yeah, we will definitely share that. And I have, and I'll forward the full invitation to the March 19th webinar and also a couple flyers we've created with some of our partners on the Medicaid transformation as well. And that we have an English and a Spanish version, so we can pass that along.
We've already got your flyers out at Independence.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
And speaking of Independence, we just want to thank you so much for your continuing partnership with us at Independence Regional Library. We continue to refer people to you all the time. We reference you in our programming flyers to continue to call you for help. And it's, on our community resource table for people to pick up all the time. And every time I put stuff out there, it's gone. So I know it gets used. And it's in our program flyers all the time. Like right here, I've mentioned you right there. So you're like a part of what we do every day. And people really appreciate what you do.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, I know whenever Abigail and Natalie would come out to Independence, you guys would have at least about 50 clients a session over the series of the healthcare marketplace that you would help when you would come out to Independence.
That also has to do with No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it was the busiest site that I worked. The library has a culture of being open and a space where people know they can get that help.
We're glad to have you, and whenever we have seating again, we'd love to have you back.
We'll take you up on that.
All right, once more, I would encourage you to ask questions while you can. I guess we have a couple minutes left. I don't want to keep you guys too far past the top of the hour. But someone else, yeah, posted, I would love to have the resources electronically. I assume this is content that you have to send out via email. There's not like a, are any of them just uploaded on your website?
The presentation we gave today is not on the website, but there are a lot of the flyers are, and if you, and we have pages on a lot of the, especially for COVID-19, we have a COVID-19 specific link on the website that shows a lot of services that we've added for it. But I don't think these specific flyers are at this point, as far as I know. But we'll make sure to distribute the materials that were, like either the ones that were screenshotted in the slides and the slides themselves as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this has been a very informative hour. I guess if there are no more questions, we can wrap now, but I just want to say thanks, Becca, Julianne, Abigail, for being here. We really appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Keep up the great work, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for all the work you do. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.